Will it break? If you are interested in this question, please follow me. We see the daily line. We can find that we are currently breaking the trend line that we have been emphasizing. If we draw this trend line accurately, one point, we can find out whether the current price is broken or not. At this time, we must use the ray. When using the ray, we must turn on the magnet and turn on the magnet to ensure that our line is drawn on the tip of the needle. Then we start from the lowest point. The needle tip of the rising point is the position where we connect this trend line. If we look for the second point, what can we find if we continue this way? If we observe the following points, we can find the third point, which has actually connected this trend line. The first trend line is broken, so when we connect it, if we connect it like this, its effectiveness may not be so strong. But if we connect this point to the third point, we can find that it seems at the second point, it seems to be touching the needle tip, which is more reasonable than just now. At the third point, it is also perfectly connected to the needle tip. Now we are touching the fourth point. You can find that we are at the moment going to the fourth point. It is directly pasted on it at present. It does not say that it is worn down or interspersed back and forth. In fact, let's take a look at the performance of the energy in the current situation. If we want to break down violently here, the short position will show a situation of slowly increasing slowly. Or at least in the period before we break down, we must see that the short position is relatively strong, and the short position has an overwhelming advantage. It seems that I don't think so in the current situation. I don't think it can be interpreted here that the short position has an overwhelming advantage. And the amount of our short position also does not show a clear increase trend as we approach the trend line, which is the same as before. It has successfully stepped on our place and the place ahead of us. In fact, it all depends on the fact that our short position has not been significantly strengthened, but has remained at a relatively stable place. At this position, our current position is not just the oblique trend line, which is very important. Our horizontal trend line is around 28,500. This horizontal swap happens to basically overlap with the position indicated by our current trend line. So the position is particularly important. If it breaks, our entire structure will be broken. Then we will have to wait for a long time. Well, in fact, I think we look at our current situation. There is a great possibility that the trend line will fail. That is, it is very likely that we will continue to oscillate and wear out this trend line, just like our previous shocks. Usually, if our trend line is worn out, the trend line has no reference value. That is, we don't need to look at this trend line. When we discuss the market in the future, there will be other trend lines, or we can just look at the horizontal swap. It is a trend line that has already been interspersed. In fact, the market that happened in this place, I think we can use as a reference to the previous position. Like the rise in this period when we were in this place before. It was also a very strong rise. But it can be found that if we draw a trend line from the bottom, it will be worn out later. If we draw a trend line like this, we can find that we have worn out horizontally, including in this kind of place and in this kind of place. If we say if the horizontal wears out, the trend line no longer has any reference significance. I think that what we have done before is that we broke the trend line, but we still continue to adjust sideways. I believe it is very possible. That is, the market we will follow next is that after the horizontal movement, the trend line has been broken through. But this trend line has not broken out since then. And such a strong trend market is still oscillating. So the original trend line is still can be declared invalid. Then we may have to look for it again. Or we can look at the horizontal swap. We can see that we have worn out the trend line and then oscillated. We finally rushed up for the last short period and then we fell below. He will be very, very dangerous during this exchange. Thank you very much, everyone is very welcome. You can help me like the video, subscribe and share. Turning on the little bell is the biggest support for me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.